what is necessary, and questions for classroom discussion, and people will be able to jump in and talk about, you know, to discuss the questions asked. And then afterwards, we will be talking about expectation and responsibilities. We know that the classroom or the teaching environment is not just only the classroom work and the academics. There are other factors that impact the learning environment, and we'll mention them. Even if it's briefly, it's very important, because sometimes maybe bigger students don't do that, but I know that some students say they like the teacher, so they work hard for the teacher. And we're talking about the environment briefly and the affect that is in the classroom, like who likes whom and who is the leader and that kind of thing. Because sometimes we have a self-appointed leader or a leader that is appointed without words, you know, to sort of establish a climate in the classroom. But before I do that, I want to mention things about the intervention. The intervention. I would like the people, everybody, to send me the school, the name of the school, the time that you're going to be working with the students, and that you will give me that kind of information so it has some integrity. I know that you are meeting with students so and so. The name doesn't matter, you know, if you give me the name, it still doesn't matter. But it's just that I will have a handle on the situation, and it won't be out there somewhere without any kind of perspective on my part as to what is happening with the students. We have to remember, and probably you should take these notes, that the 6 sessions that we're supposed to have with the students, it will be session 1 will be a kind of getting to know and some other things that we have to do, because we have to target an area of intervention. So if you have your planning guide with you, you can look at it, because the one that I have sent is very general. It has to do with interventions that are sometimes not necessarily academic. It has to do with probably a social factor that is in the school. I have known of schools that are that have very negative reputation, and people call the school by a name that is not very complimentary. And sometimes it is a teacher or a group of teachers together with administration and parents conduct an intervention to change the image of the school. So it has all, this one is a comprehensive guide. But what we will be focusing on will be an intervention with just one student. So we have to establish a baseline. We have to know the target area for the intervention. So how are we going to determine that? We had discussed it briefly the last time. We said that the intervention will be one in the subject area, which is mathematics. You cannot interact with people without some social quotient, going on there. But mainly our focus will be the intervention in an area of mathematics that the student has less than proficiency in, and we'll try to bring up that area. So we have to discuss how it will be determined. And to establish a baseline, we must have some kind of diagnostic work that we can inspect to see where there are areas of weakness indicated. We are in the second semester of the school year, and so probably the diagnostic test that people took at the beginning of the year will not be as relevant as something more recent, like a unit test or a monthly test. What do you have, St. Lucia, not St. Lucia, I have Bermuda and Dominica.
Dominica.
Yes. So do you give monthly tests?
We give unit tests.
Unit tests, okay. So probably,
Bermuda.
go ahead.
Yeah, so we give unit tests. So when we are finished with a unit, we give a test.
Okay.
So let's say they were doing fractions, addition and subtraction of fractions.
Yes.
After the unit, there'll be a test.
Okay. So what I'm encouraging people to do then is to try to gain access to that particular, the one nearest to the time when you're going to start your intervention. Okay, so it might not be fractions by the time you're ready to start, but it might be that the fraction was from unit addition and subtraction. Probably you're into multiplication and division. So if you have a unit test that was completed at the end of one set of topics, then the one that the student is, in which the student is currently engaged, would not be where you establish your baseline. You could go back and look at the one closest to the time that your intervention, your face-to-face, will begin with the student. Do we understand that?
No, I'm not too sure. So
Okay.
when so I go back.
Let me
So I go.
go ahead.
Okay. So I go back. Let's say they finished the unit test on addition and subtraction, and the child was deficient. So now I have to go back to the addition and subtraction and work with the student.
Well, that we would have a assessment paper in our hands to say, yes, we are looking at addition
Okay.
and we are looking at subtraction, but things are not static, it's dynamic. So therefore, after that unit is completed, you would start on another unit. So I'm saying, for instance, if they're currently doing multiplication and division, we could use the last assessment that they had to see if there are any weaknesses in
Yeah.
that area, and we'll try to cover up
Okay.
gaps.
All right.
Does that make sense?
Okay. Yes, it makes sense now. Yes. Thank you.
All right, so what we have to do then, that is where we will determine our target area for intervention. Are you guys understanding me in this room?
Yes,
Okay, good.
yes, we do.
Oh, great. All right then. So we have to do that. So that is number one on the intervention guide. Yes? Then nomination of the student for participation in the intervention. Okay? Probably the classroom teacher for the targeted group, if we are targeting grade 7, or if we are targeting grade 8, right? Probably we would have a dialogue with the teacher to say, you know, this person or these persons will be a good candidate for the intervention because we have noticed that they're lacking in proficiency in this area, and that will be confirmed by looking at the last assessment. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So that method of nomination of who you will work with would be with the help of the teacher. Yes? Yes? The present.
Yes, I do.
Yes.
I was thinking about this. This student, this teacher told me that her son at a high school is having problem
Yeah.
in maths. Right. So I told her that about this everything. I worked with him for 6 weeks
Yeah.
and see. In this case, I already have the student instead
Very
of the
good.
teacher picking out a student.
Yes, but
I already have the student. All I need to do now is to go to that teacher or just talk to that teacher to see the weaknesses and all of that. It's
yes,
like getting a pre-test. a pre-test from the teacher?
That's correct.
All right, and then now I start working with it.
The last assessment that the child had in whatever area, you know, that was taught and assessed. Okay, and then you can pick up if there are any weaknesses there. All right. So
Yeah, okay.
we have the target area for intervention. We have the nomination of students, and we have decided what method the students will be nominated based on, you know, the interaction with the teacher. Okay. For you are at Clancarty, sir. So have you spoken to anybody there about it? About what we would like to do, because we'd like some students, some of our peers here to have access to students who could be but I don't know how to communicate. You would have to bring me some information. Okay. You'd have to bring me the name of the HOD. You have to bring me the name of the principal, because that's the first line of contact. What's this? They calling me back again? Can I answer this? All right. The I don't have any contact. Okay, I will. Yes, and if you can email me their email address, I can contact them by email and get some things moving. Okay, good. Some people calling me back. It's Dr. Anderson. Good afternoon. Yes. You have some envelopes on top of something like a cabinet. And that's where they were. That's where I picked it up, like in 1 minute and gave it to you. Excuse me, class, excuse me. Yes. But I'm in a class now, so I have to come off the phone. Yes. All right. So the pre-intervention evaluation agreement, we are going to have to talk about the present level of functioning, and that goes without saying. And it's by participation. You're going to see some other things there, but you can just underline what I said, so you know that you're focused on a participant, one person. Okay? Now, it says under 4, under Roman numeral 4, it says convene intervention of advisory panel. That does not apply to us. That does not apply to us, right? And then talking
Which section does not apply, please?
Convene the intervention advisory panel. That's under 4, Roman numeral 4. Okay? So that does not apply, because we are looking, we will have some kind of persons involved, but it's not a panel. This is when you have this kind of situation when the intervention is like a school-wide intervention for something that is common to all the students in the school. So, so what we will be looking at is intervention planning activities. That is under 5. Under 5, we have intervention planning activities. And for that, we would go to section D. For that, we go to section D under 5. 5D. Yes? And it says treatment acceptability of the intervention. So who would be involved there? Rather than a panel, we would have the teacher, we would have the student, and we would have the parent. The parent must be involved, and the parent, I would have to send a letter worded to say, you know, we're having an intervention, your child has been chosen for so-and-so by people from the University of the West Indies, and then we would be grateful if you could facilitate the activity. That is mainly what the letter will say. And then it will have a place for the school for the parent to sign, and the HOD or somebody like that. No, you're going to work out with them the schedule. You're going to work out the schedule with the school. But people outside of Jamaica, I really need to get that information from you as well. So I could send a letter asking for you to be facilitated. In the case of the person here who says that it's the son of a colleague, we still would have to have some information from the school itself so that you know that you go onto the school environment. Do you plan to do that during the week, or you plan to do it during the on weekends?
I was thinking personally, like after school, if it's not on the weekend, after school.
Excellent. So you already have the parents here they are, and you just need them to connect with the teacher and your teacher also. I think that would be all right. Okay. While you are looking at that, I'm going to send you what is called an attitude scale in mathematics. Attitude scale in mathematics. And I will be sending that to you. And you could have your student to fill this out just to see, because sometimes we can even look at what the attitude will be after the intervention. Just like we would have a post-test to see on the area of intervention to see if skills have been acquired. Okay?
Okay.
All right. Are we there? Are we on board?
Right. Thank you.
Now, intervention design. Remember, you have to have a lesson plan. And the first lesson, every lesson that you have has to be evaluated. What the child was able to do, what the child was expected to do, what the child was able to do. Those kinds of things in the evaluation. But your lesson plan would be like any other lesson plan, where you would have the topic, you would have the objectives, you would have what strategies you're going to use, what resources, if you're going to do anything with hands-on so they can get their minds on, and you would be doing that. You also would have to give some examples so that you would see if the task is appropriate for the grade level, because you know that you'll be functioning in that area. The, intervention design and task analysis. It probably you would not have to, the task analysis would be if you look at what is required for the person to achieve whatever goal it is that, you know, the intervention suggests. All right.
Yes, you have mentioned that we have to do some examples to see if the child, if that is appropriate for that child, right? But are we going to need that, seeing as we're going to base our lesson on the weakness of what the child is doing in school on a certain unit?
Yes, we're good, but in the unit we're going to have instruction, because that is the intervention, and then we will have questions or assessment items to determine the level of mastery of the student. So it will be, for instance, if you have a 7th grader, right, you would do whatever is in the 7th grade along with that. Some teachers like to experiment and say, let me see if they can do this or if they can do that. But really, we want to test what we teach. We want to test what we teach. So that's why I'm saying that you have to be careful so that you keep the range that is appropriate for the grade level to which the child belongs. Did I answer your question?
Yes, you did. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Yes. You have to speak up because it's like that. Yes. Yes. Well, if you would like me to approve of it, that would be fine. That means you'd have to do it ahead of time. Okay, and bring it on a Monday and we can talk about it. The other thing. steps that has preceded what I have said here would have to be taken already in order for a decision to be made on what it is that you are going to intervene. Okay.
Miss, I was to ask you, how long did you say this session should last for?
I think an hour.
1 hour.
Okay, 45 minutes to an hour, because most likely it would be the end of the school day, and to tack on, I don't know if you did 5 classes or 7 classes, tack on another class. We wouldn't want you to double up on the sessions, because probably it would have taken too far into the evening, number one. And number two, the child has already sat through a day of academic instruction.
Okay.
Did that make sense there?
Yes, yes.
So you have to, the essential is a mini unit. So you would look at the essential components of the intervention, because you know the student is here, we're going to start here, but where will we be or hope to be in the 6 weeks, and that will guide your plan. Now, teachers have to be flexible. Suppose you decide that you are going to subtract fractions, and the student doesn't understand which fraction is larger or how to subtract fractions and that kind of a thing. Probably you might have made a lesson plan for that, because that is what the baseline test showed you. But if there are some more fundamental misunderstanding, then that is where you would have to start and build back up to what it is that you want to achieve. Does that make sense to you?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
All right. All right. You have to, how will progress be monitored? Progress will be monitored by what the child is able to do in formal or informal assessment for each session, and you are going to record that. And then, based on your understanding of where there are still some misconceptions or matters of that nature, they will be addressed. But it is a guide. It helps both you and the child, so you can proceed in a orderly fashion. And you would be jumping all over the place, because you would know where your focus would be. Yes?
Yes, yes.
Last time I taught a student, it was an autistic child, and the parents wanted our student, to come back again and again, even after the intervention was over. So they had formed kind of a social bond. Because, and then the teacher here came away with a whole new perspective on how to treat children who have challenges. So it would be good for both you, and the parent and the child. So all of that is the parents wanted, and parents came and told them thanks, and all kinds of good things happened on the social scene as well as on the academic scene. So the parent would be involved at its process to see what the student is able to do. How frequently will the data be collected? The data will be collected on a weekly basis. On a weekly basis. Who will evaluate the progress? You will, by giving some kind of assessment, yes, each day.
Okay.
You will also decide who will determine if intervention needs adjustment. We just spoke about flexibility, because sometimes a child is not able to work with some problems. Say if you're subtracting fractions, if you say what is the difference between this fraction and that fraction, they might not know what to subtract from what. Sometimes it might be that fundamental, and you would have to go back and adjust, because a good characteristic of an effective teacher is flexibility. By questioning or by the child's response to a an exercise or a problem, you in your head say, the person left tracks at this point. So probably it's more fundamental than I originally thought. You can just go ahead where you thought you were going to go. You have influence to dictate different. Yes?
Yes.
Say that. All right. We might have a checklist that probably will do methods of treatment integrity. Like this, I'm going to send you this scale of attitude, and then you will have both a kind of a social aspect to it as well as a academic component. All right. Yes? Yes?
It's clear. It's clear.
Yes.
All right. Intervention, and then you terminate the intervention, which is the last thing. Article 7, terminate intervention. You measure, because every time we teach, we would like to have an idea of what was achieved from the interaction. Yes?
Yes? Yes.
All right. So therefore, for the termination of intervention, how much change you experience with the child or from the child. You have to talk about that. Were goals met? Were they exceeded? Not met? So those are the things that we have to talk about. So you're going to look at how did we do, right? How closely did you get to your target if you didn't reach or surpass your target? Do we see that? How close did we get to the target if we did not reach or surpass? Because it's always good news when the light bulb goes off in the child's head and mind, and you can see that, I have this one under wraps. This child has gained some proficiency with whatever.
Okay. Okay.
All
right.
Did any components change? Remember, I said you have to be flexible. So that should be reflected in your report, because the nuts and bolts of the intervention will be recorded in the evaluation of the lesson after it has been completed, each lesson, right? But what happens here, there is a kind of overall attitude that could be created, or an atmosphere, and you can take care of that with a journal, because you're going to have a journal. We said that last time, didn't we? Yes?
Yes.
That could include other aspects of the interaction, right? Is the child happy? Is the child, responsive? Those kinds of things. And then you could get there. So it says that, how did any component change during the intervention? It could be an academic one. It could be an affective one. An affective component would be the child is eager. When you go there, the child is ready to roll. Or it could be that the child is hiding, or the child said, I want to go to the bathroom 3 times during the intervention period. You see, anything like that can be rolled into your journal. And you could express yourself as how, your response to what you witnessed and experienced.
So I am the one, does the child also make a comment? And the parent?
That would be great. We have had it without even asking for it. But you could ask the child to say,
okay.
What sometimes I do is cut a page into like 6 strips for them to just write, and I have a whole class setting for you just to say, tell me one thing you learned. And that is their passport out of class. So
okay.
And if the child makes comments during the time, you can take a note of it just by using what I would call a word, laughter, acknowledgement that they understand and that kind of stuff. because all of that will be rolled into your journal. Because remember, you're going to have
Okay.
writing pieces, right? Yes?
Okay.
All right.
Yes, yes.
So we are going to do that.
So it's a written,
What? The journal?
it's a written journal. Is it written or typed? Typed.
What I call type written. Oh, it will be, at this stage, you cannot be writing, you're typing. Okay, I think
Okay.
I'm saying, right? And if you're going to send it to me, it's best to type it and just send it to me, right? Okay.
Email it to you, yes.
All right. So you're looking at your behavior, the child's behavior, and behavior don't mean being out of the normal, just the affect in the room, the you know, the connection you made with the student, that kind of a thing. You know, are they as pessimistic as they started? Do they have a feeling that they can learn? Do you see, you know, evidence that, you know, they're bonding with the situation? Okay. When
All right.
when the intervention ends, you talk about the net gain. At the beginning, the child was able to do thus and such. At the end, the child was able to do thus and such. Okay, all of that is going to be in your journal. Okay.
Should the parents, question, should the parents be there too?
No, I don't think so. But if suppose they come to pick up the child and they came early and they enter the space where you are with the child, you know, and sometimes they would want to talk to you, and I'm sure your parents would want to talk to you because you work with that person every day. So I'm sure there's going to be some talk about it, and that will be part of your journal as well. Am I okay here?
Yep. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. The thing is that there are some questions here that we leave out of the package. Like it said, did the goals produce meaningful, lasting behavior changes? We wouldn't be in a position to assess that, because once we are finished with the exposure to the student over those intervention periods, we will be gone. Okay.
That is what section?
We are under section 7, 2I. 2I. You see there's a section 7B. You see evaluation intervention. You see
outcomes, yeah.
Intervention, outcomes. How did we do?
Yes.
All right, go down to C. You see C, I. CI said social significance of intervention.
Very cool.
I'm gonna skip over that, but that will come in because people will be talking. But you see 2I, social acceptability.
Acceptability.
Of intervention procedures. All right. So we are down to 3I, social importance of the effect. And you know, sometimes in an environment, you gain social acceptance because you're a person who is proficient in certain areas, and you know, you gain new stature with your peers and that kind of a thing. We won't know that. We won't know that. But probably somebody else will be the person to reap the benefits of your intervention, because it will plug some leaks in the person's store of knowledge, and they're better able to receive additional information at a higher level, right? You can judge though, if you say, do outcomes heighten the probability of future success? Under 3I, that is number 2. Do we see that? Does outcomes heighten the probability of future success? Do you see that? It's the second to last.
Yes.
Sentence. It's sentence number
3-2, yes.
Yes. All right. And then you have to answer this question. Would you recommend the intervention to others or use it again at another time or place? That is a question for you to answer. Because in your journal, you will encapsulate all of that. See, because there's a saying that when you give somebody flowers, there's some benefits to you because the essence is on your hand. So you cannot have an intervention with somebody or teach a class without you benefiting also from the exposure. So that last question will be yours, and that you could record in your journal as well at the end of the experience. Do we see that?
Okay.
All right?
Yes.
So this finishes a kind of going through of what is required. Yes? All right.
Yes.
Yes.
What we're submitting to you is the journal,
Yes.
lesson plans,
Yes.
and any evaluation
Right.
tools that we use.
Yes.
And it's not that we have to organize our work like this.
No, I left out the parts that weren't relevant to us. I did not discuss everything that is on the paper.
But I mean, for example, on part 5, intervention planning activities, social validity, evaluation components, do we have to say, okay?
Where am I? 5, yes.
5.
I said social viability would be our social significance, would not be our main focus, but somehow it will come into play because when people interact, there is a social component. It could be the affect. Sometimes the child come in sad, this is more punishment. I do not like math. Why it is I have to have it after school, and that presents a certain affect. Suppose you see a change in that affect, or suppose it wasn't there. So the student get a feeling that, yes, I recognize I have problems with that because my grade was only so and so. I'm glad that you are here. That is the social part. But this social significance might occupy a larger space if we're trying to change some social behavior as a school.
That's not what I was asking. But okay.
You have to speak so that other people can hear you.
What I mean, we're submitting journaling. So I see a child 6 sessions or a student 6 sessions, and then write a journal entry. I say, what was covered in the class, what progress was made, how the students improved, if at all. They move from point A to point B. That's what we should submit to you, along with the lesson plan for the day.
And the samples of the student work, all encapsulated into that journal. Okay? That is one aspect of it. Another aspect of it will be the oral reporting. So it's like you talk to, you share your experience. So if you had an epiphany or whatever, you could share it, and the others in the class, myself and the other students, will have questions to ask you maybe, or we might benefit from what you have said.
So that's the 20%.
Yes, that's the oral report.
Okay.
Yes.
But the handing to you
is the journal.
The journal.
And everything that happened, transpired.
The journal
yes. 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 Okay. Are we all on board?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes.
So this is your guide, and I try to send it to everybody. Okay. And I will send you just to taking a social thing, the attitude scale for mathematics. I'll send you that.
So should we give the student one at the beginning and at the end?
Yes, that's what I said earlier. All right. So now we're yes.
About one of the interview.
I can tell you that. You're just going to summarize what happened. I don't want to say 10 words and you have something to say beyond 10 words and you don't write it down. What is a good evaluation? A good evaluation is going to talk about any gains or no gains. If you're going to slightly tweak your objective because you find out that the child is that I cannot nail it down to a number. It doesn't have to be a page. I don't know if you can generate a page on 1 hour intervention for that. But in your general journal writing, you can talk about things beyond the pure academics. As I said, you know, affect and all of that.
So each hour session, each 1 hour session, we should write about what happened. But also we should write about
the journal, the intervention session is mainly going to be dealing with the mathematics of the situation. Your journal can include the mathematics as well as anything else that's transpired that seemed to be of significance. Change in attitude, change in affect, comments by the child which reflect something that he's thinking. Like if I say to you, I see him eating something and I said, are you going to eat that? Right? And he says to me, yes, that's my favorite. What he's trying to say to me that he didn't say. If he said that is my favorite, that's my favorite, I really love this. What do you think he's giving? What message he's giving me there?
I'm going to eat it.
He said that he's going to eat it, so he's not going to share it. Because probably I made that comment because I would like some. So there are some things that are explicit and some things that are implicit. Okay. All right. Last time, we're switching gears now. Last time we spoke about the importance of the teacher in the environment. We did not say that the teacher is going to be dictatorial or just use expository mode to give the lesson. So we know that we have to acknowledge that as a classroom teacher, you must acknowledge that students in your classroom have different ways of receiving information and different ways of processing that information. Different ways of knowing, of constructing their knowledge, because that is where the educational model now rests, with the constructivist report, which is the third component in this class, where you have to do the research on the theories, and you can begin that at any time. Okay? All right. So the consideration on curriculum development and on instructional practice is what we are going to be looking at this evening. You must try to learn as much as you can about how to learn, and we are going to focus on that here, right? And process information, because you can never know everything about each student. The more you dialogue with your colleagues, vary your teaching strategies, and assist students in integrating their learning, the more likely you are to reach more students more often. So to be an effective teacher, A, you should learn as much about your students and the preferred learning styles. B, develop flexibility and adaptability. Develop flexibility and adaptability. What does that mean to anybody? Jump in. Flexibility and adaptability.
Develop, okay, flexibility. That means, suppose the mood of the classroom changes daily. What happened in the classroom yesterday may not be the same thing happened today. In one sense, you may have a smooth running classroom today, and tomorrow is a different thing. So suppose I plan my lesson this way, and I come in and I see the children, they are not really, what I would say now, taking into the lesson as I should. They are not as focused as I should now. They are not tending to learn the way I expect them to. I have to be flexible in such a way as to make some adjustment, as to fit them at the same time, or maybe I have to change the complete lesson. Maybe the lesson that I have is not even the same one I have to do, depending on how I see their adjustment when I approach them.
Anybody else have any ideas?
Yes, it happened like we were doing volume and surface area of a cuboid.
Mm-hmm.
And they were just looking at me, and then then we went into, you're sitting in a cuboid. Let's paint our classroom. If we want to paint the classroom, what should I, and then I mean, miss how big the classroom is. So somebody had to go and measure. So we were measuring the classroom, we were measuring the height, stand up on the chair, measure the height, until they work out the dimension of each wall.
Yeah.
And then I asked them, well, a quart of paint will paint 12, let's say 12 meters square. How many quarts of paint should we buy to paint the classroom?
Exactly.
And that was the lesson plan,
Yeah.
because they were so static,
But
just looking at you.
what other topic came in there if you want to know how much paint you are supposed to buy? Class?
Well,
We're talking about surface area, right?
yeah.
Okay, so if we are going to use a practical example, right? What is it? What other thing came in there if we have to find out how much paint we need?
We can talk about dollars and cents right there, sir, right?
Talk about dollars and cents, but what other thing we have to know in order to purchase our paint?
How many pints make a gallon? Oh, that you mean?
No, I don't.
No.
I mean, if a gallon of paint covers 100 square
12 meters square.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a ratio, 1
Mm.
to 100. So some other mathematics, and that is called a teachable moment. That is called a teachable moment, because now we're looking at rate. Do we see that? We have?
Yes, it was consumer arithmetic, yeah.
So the intersections and the integration can come. That is the flexibility. So you must have enough knowledge so that when that comes up, you can say, tell me something. Just like you said, how much paint we're going to need for this place? And somebody is going to have to say, we have to measure it. Yes? Because you can't know how to And paint is so expensive. We don't want to have 2 gallons of paint in the corner sitting down when the job is finished, right? So there you are bringing some real life example, right? So we want paint to square feet, right? 100 square feet, a gallon of paint. I don't know. I think a gallon of paint can do much more than 100 square feet. But whatever, the point is that we have made our intersection with something else. And then another teachable moment, is that a ratio or a rate? Is that a ratio? If we're looking for paint to square feet, is that a ratio or a rate? It's a rate. Rate deals with 2 different things. Ratio deals with
2 quantities, yeah.
Same quantity. Same quantity.
Yeah. So
do we see that, class? So you have arguments you can be bringing for them to see what is going on. If I have miles per gallon, that is a rate, right? If I have heartbeats per minute, that is a rate. But if I have the ratio of boys to girls is the same people, that would be a ratio.
Person to person,
compare same quantities, and rate compares different quantities.
Different quantities, yeah.
Yes, okay? So first of all, you have to learn about your students. Second of all, we have to be an eclectic style. We have to develop. And when the teachable moment comes, you must have enough knowledge base that you can branch out into that. You just don't close it down. Because if somebody say measurement, then we have to go find square whatever to paint. And then we are more efficient and we don't have 2 cans of expensive paint color orange in the corner when they're done. Yes? And then C, help students to make bridges or connections, which we just made a while ago, didn't we? Didn't we just make connections, right? Bridges and connection between their lives and all that they are learning. Do we see that? Do we see that?
Yes, yes.
And sometimes in the schools, the school really needs a coat of paint. Isn't that true?
That's true.
I have seen some schools that really need a coat of paint, right? And so that could be a project. Couldn't it be a project? We don't have the paint, we don't have the money, we don't know where I get it from, but it's a good practical application of what we call surface area. Because we haven't left our subject, you know. We haven't left our subject. We're still with surface area. And then we can go into what is area? Yes.
I'm going back to ratio versus rate.
Yes.
With ratio, you said it's about
comparing same types of stuff, not same quantities.
Oh, you said same quantity.
No. Same.
But that's not ratio. Similar units. Okay.
Ratio have to do with anything that you want to come. You have to be doing the time. I just say heartbeats per minute. I just say miles per gallon. That's still a rate. That's still a rate.
Per unit, because I thought I heard. I thought.
No, you can have boys to girls, but you're comparing the same type of, you know, objects. Yes.
That's what I heard. So I was wondering.
Okay. So anything can be a rate once you're comparing two different things. Like when they say on the road, they say in this zone you go 50 kilometers per hour. Pardon me?
Time.
But it can be anything. It doesn't have. It's not restricted to time.
Yes, because a rate it has to do with time.
Yes, it has to do with time, but not exclusively. If I say miles per gallon, that's a rate. Okay. You go look it up and bring me proof.
That's what I mean. I mean, I'll have to look it up because in my mind, a rate always do.
No. Okay. Okay. If I have population density, right? I can say based on the population of Jamaica, the population density is so many people per square mile. That is a rate. That is, and I didn't say anything about time. I'm talking about people and the space they occupy on average. And on average, Jamaica is underpopulated. Isn't that true? On average, Jamaica is underpopulated. If you go, look up on the hills. Do you see anybody on the hills in Jamaica? If you fly across Jamaica from Montego Bay to Kingston, you see green areas where no one is living. Jamaica is underpopulated. If you go to China, where 16 stories high, and it's people like what we call
people like flies.
Yes, but so the thing is that you go rate has to do with the comparison of two different things. Ratio has to be compared on the same things. So you can go look it up and bring me whatever. No, it's terms of anything. All right. So the question for class discussion now is explain why knowledge of learning styles or capacities and teaching style is or should be important. Learning styles of the student and teaching styles of the teachers. Why is that important?
Well, students learn differently. Some learn visual, some really when they have their hands in it, they have, you know, hands-on activities.
Yes,
they have
that's what I'm going to be talking about.
understanding.
Yeah.
Some when they even like seeing it in a like a clip, like a movie clip or something.
Yeah.
They learn better. Like right now, when I try to make my lesson plan, I have a like a movie clip in it. Like there's always something on YouTube bear with the topic.
Or something.
Right. So some when they see it, they will just get it like that, you know. So it won't click until they see their style, learning style appears. That my
So if
understanding.
you know their learning style, you know your teaching style. So will they ever meet?
Yes.
Or you just teach no matter what. That is your what you have picked up is up to you, right?
No, that's not good because it will show a poor reflection on the teacher. Like the teacher, for example, if I don't know their learning style and I give teach a class, say I just teach one style, just on board writing or lecturing or something, and it's only 3 out of 10 students, so to speak, successful, 3 from 10. That show a bad reflection. Like either I don't know my topic or I don't know how to reach them. I don't have the bridge there to get across to them. So I have to look at it from that standpoint too.
You have to, because the thing is that we want to be effective in the classroom, and effectiveness is measured by how many passes, how many of the students, and you are in charge of the whole teaching learning process. You're in charge, and you know that that is the teachers. The teaching profession is the only profession where you have one, what you call expert, and 50 clients. In every other situation, they're helpers. You know, people have secretaries, the doctors, they have the means.
The nurse assistant, yeah. Doctor's assistant.
And that kind of thing. So they have a lot of things, but we are our own secretaries, we are our own whatevers, and use those skills in unique ways, because a lot of times teachers change hats right in the middle of everything. You become an encourager, you become a person who people. You do lots of different things in class. Sometimes you are annoyed by the person because you think that they should have given you a different answer. So the thing is, we have to guard against those kinds of attitude that will cause a child to clamp down or don't say anything, not because you say anything to them, but because you move at the pace that, you know, they cannot manage. So you have to do something, right? Now, let us look at this other thing, the expectation and responsibilities to facilitate certain behaviors in the classroom. We're looking at where do they get their cue? Where do they get their cue as to the classroom behavior? Where the children, you know, some teachers, I don't have any problem with James. I don't have any problems with Matilda. So the thing is, you have a situation where the teacher needs to set a certain tone. The teacher needs to set a certain tone. First of all, you can't come in with one shoulder almost meeting the other in front. Silence, set up the board in a monotonic voice. You say, today we are going to be doing whatever topic. You have to show some energy. You have to show some love for the subject. You have to have some
enthusiasm, yes.
Enthusiasm, right? You have to have some expectations and let it be known. So you're going to set a tone for the classroom. You're going to say, today we are going to work with so-and-so. And that's correct. So you have to be student friendly. You have to let the student know that they can reach this goal.
Right.
So you have to plan, because I say success breeds success. Success breeds success. So if you teach me to do something like factoring, and I use my vocabulary and that kind of a thing, if the child explains it without using the vocabulary, sometimes you can say, that was good, but remember, what did we call each thing that you multiply together to get the product? And somebody will remember that probably it's, it's a factor.
Yeah.
Do that kind of thing. But you do not cut the child off. You do not give a response that will cause them to drop a curtain and forget about you and the class and think about lunchtime, or think about where they're going to play soccer, what's it called? Not soccer, football after school. Yes? So therefore, you have to sort of invite the student. Come, I'm going to a nice place, with this math, and let them, and entice them to follow you. So there are the expectations. You have high expectations, but you cannot have high expectation and teach without being at that level, because you cannot teach at one level and test at the other level. You have to teach and test at that level. If you want to teach if you want to test at a higher level, then see that they get the basics, and then you can move on. But do not run an experiment. They're not rabbits. They're not rabbits. You don't have any experiment to run with them, because if they understand it, component by component, and you do not teach things in isolation. You do not teach this and you don't connect it to anything else, right? Because do you think that anybody at all can understand math in little chunks without seeing a picture emerging? How many things you'd have to remember?
It's like a domino. You have to.
The domino effect, where one thing affects. Yes. Yes. So what you have to do is you have to be a reflective decision maker as a teacher. A reflective decision maker. So you're causing yourself a disservice if you do not evaluate your lessons. If you do not evaluate a lesson, because you have to reflect on what has transpired and make a decision based on that. Sometimes the decision is to reteach. Okay? Then also, you have to have a commitment to the student and to the profession. Nobody is going to teaching if you do not like children. Nobody named nobody should go into teaching if you do not like children. Because you know something? They're going to provide you with some challenges. The students are going to provide you with some challenges. And a lot of time, students say this little thing, I want to see if she's real. They don't say it out loud, they're not even conscious of it. But if you give up on them, or if you ridicule them, or if you make them feel like, they're out there, swinging in the wind, you cannot do that. Another thing, if a student misbehaves today, what do teachers have to do tomorrow?
Act like it never happened.
Thank you. Forget about it. A new day is a new day.
That's right. I have to do that.
A new day is a new. You cannot hold grudges against your students.
Right.
Attitudes. I know that sometimes parents come to school and behave horribly. That should not affect the way
relationship.
The child. New day, new horizons, new opportunities. Because you're a teacher, and you have to know that some of us forget how much hard time we gave the teacher when we were in school. Especially, I won't fill in that blank. So we know that every day is a blank slate on which you are going to invest some time and energy. It's a new space. Let us not keep grudges against children. You are not a good teacher if you do that. If it colors the way, if you said, your parents came here yesterday and the things they say to me were quite unpleasant, I'm not going to ask you another question. Do you see what that is doing to that child?
Right.
You cannot do that. So you must have a commitment to your students and you must have a commitment to the profession. That's right. You're molding and shaping because you know when you go to the hospital and have a child and they give you the child to take home, that is a canvas that has no pictures on it. It's something that you have to mold and shape and encourage and cultivate and forgive, like the Bible says, 70 times 7. And you must stop counting after time because everything is forgiven and it's a new day, right? The next thing you have to do, the non-instructional responsibilities. That means sometimes you have to become an informal counselor. That means sometimes they might say, Miss, I do not have this, I do not have that. You have an extra pencil or something.
Yes.
Because you have to make sure that you have instructional responsibilities, and we'll talk about that in more depth, but you also have the other responsibilities. Sometimes you have to plan, sometimes you have to plan for prize giving or for some recognition, some prefect nomination, some this and some that in the school environment. It's not only the academic responsibilities. You want to say something?
No, I was just thinking on the comment you made about the pencil. Because there are some students who never ever have a pencil or a pen. And I think it is just irresponsible. Somebody says like you stop the day and you know that they must have written something or they were supposed to write something in classes before yours. And you're wondering where's the pen that you were using all along? Yeah, they don't have any pen. They don't have any pencil. Never ever have a pen or a pencil.
Yes, but
anything at all.
yeah, well, I know that. You know, I was in a school where the principal, the vice principal, ended up going to the boys' house. And when he went there, the picture just unfolded to him why this child did not have stuff. There was nobody to guide him. There was no anything. So what I would do when I give him that pencil, probably he doesn't have anybody to, he just doesn't know where his things are. We buy the 3-ring notebook, we buy the fill-up paper, we give him everything, including a bag to carry. And he comes without it. Right? Yes, I know that. But probably what I will do is have a class set. Have a class set and make a ruling. So I have enough things to do my work. I have enough things to do my work. And the thing is that you can charge them for the pencil. You can say, you didn't have the pencil, you need to give, how much is it for a pencil? $10? Maybe $10, and you know, let it count. I saw a probably they will hold it, or you can collect it. And if they lose it, you can say, anybody, do not take my pencil unless you know if you don't return my pencil, it will be $10. The other thing, if children come to school without uniform like they do in Jamaica and they send them away, I would never send a kid who has reached school away. Never. Not for shoelaces. Not for shoelaces. Or socks. I wouldn't send a child away for that because you don't know what is the home environment. That's number one. When my vice principal in the school I was teaching went to the house, everybody was nodding out on drugs. The doors were open from the front, you could see to the back. And the mother came down, her hair was everywhere, and there were some people nodding off in the corner. And she started cursing the child like you'd never know. But in the cursing, she said, why you don't know this or why you don't see this? Because you won't wear your glasses. First time we know that the kid needed wear glasses. But it was a whole ton of negative things. But in there, she mentioned something about his glasses. So the thing is, we don't know. But what we have to do, we have to accept them, we have to welcome them. Probably what I will do with a student, if the person do not, I went to school to inspect, and they were sending back this child because he didn't have shoelaces. Honestly, he didn't even need the shoelaces because you could see toes, imprint in the shoes. It was sizes too small. So I took a pair of shoes to school and gave it to him.
That's right.
So the thing is that this kid is coming from 3 bus fares to reach the school, and you send him back because he doesn't have laces. So I said to the principal, so I was arguing with the person who was sending him back, and it's the first time I'm seeing the person. And I said, the principal came out and said, may I help you? I didn't even know he was a principal. So when I went in there, I said, you can't send a child home coming from 3 bus stops, three bus fares to get to school. You may tell me when you send back the child. Where's the child going when you send him back? Where is he going for the day? Where's the child going? You don't know, but most likely the child goes to the mall or the child goes back home, could be recruited for a gang. You don't know what.
That's true.
So what I would do, I told the man, I said, I'm going to bring you 4 or 6. I gave him some money to buy it. I said, buy 6 shoelaces, 6 pairs of shoelaces, and charge them the patty money or whatever it is for them to get shoelaces. But I'm not sending them away. I'm not sending the kid away. If you do not have a tie, you wear ties in your school, ma'am? For the boys?
Yes.
Yes, they do.
Yes.
If you don't have a tie,
Yes.
I rent you $50. That could put a big clamp on their lunch money. I'm not sending the child away. Not 3 bus fares to get here. Because a place from by Island, folks, if he takes 3 bus fares to come from somewhere on Ringwood Road, then he has to come to Crossroad, then he has to take from Crossroad to the school, and his feet are uncomfortable in the shoes. So that's one thing. So as I said, every day is a new day, yes.
One little solution to the pencil problem, what I do in my class, at least what I've seen other teachers do and I did it too. Like I have pencils, I have a lot of pencils. And if they don't have a pencil, I lend them a pencil and I take their 1 foot of their shoes or something with value. That they don't have to run out of the class with my pencil when class is over and I forget it and they come back without it. So because I have their shoes now, they won't be able to run with it. Give me back my pencil and I give you back your shoes. Give me back my pencil and I give you back your watch. I take something from them. So that's how we do it. I do it.
And if it's tie, they don't want to leave it because they...
Bernardo, how many shoes do you have?
She have a box.
Sometimes I have 7 1-footer shoes under my table.
So the thing, and sometimes you can have a class monitor. Do you know I went to a school and the teacher lent out some rulers. And I saw the girl and she said, I'm taking this ruler because I don't have a ruler. And she left the class. So I went to her and said, that's not the solution to you not having a ruler. So she gave it to me. But the thing is, you can have a class monitor to be and maybe one of the persons who didn't have a pencil and had to give up his shoe, he want to make sure that, everybody give back the pencils. You count them going in and you count them coming out.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now, what is teaching style determined by in a teacher? When a teacher uses a certain learning style, where do you think that came from?
From how they were taught.
That's exactly so. But
from how they were taught.
The paradigm is shifting. The paradigm is shifting. Where it was teacher tell you, you know how the expository method goes. I don't have to go over it. You talk, you show, you model, go do 5 more like it. that is no longer the model that we are advocating, right? So teaching style is the way the teachers teach, right? Which includes the teaching mannerisms. Some teachers, I knew a teacher, she was a literature teacher, and that in high school, because I've never taught primary school, she became the character, and she made the kids become the character for the literature. So if it's a play, if it's a book, they take on the names, and then she had them to go down to the home economics place, if you have it, and cook the food for the country. And she did everything, and she herself got in mode. You know, if it was something to do with Shakespeare, they do whatever they do, and they make swords out of cardboard, and they did all kind of stuff because she was in there. So they changed their names to the character. She gets into it, they get into it, and children call them their new name for the time that that thing is going on. So you have different ways of attracting the child. So you have a responsibility. It has to do with your behavior. It has to do with your choices, because you know you're powerful, right? Teachers are powerful people.
That's
They
true.
can withhold information, they can hand it out. But there's some teacher who go the extra mile. She does the language of it, because when they were Shakespeare, they were talking about methinks and that and all them, you know, things that we do not say in every language. And thou and thee and sir and the jester and all of that, as she got into it, right? So a teacher's style affects the way the teacher presents information and interact with the students, and we know that. And there is something that separates teachers from students, but that doesn't mean that you cannot have effective communication, right? You don't have to be always glum, because I'm the teacher and you are the student. You can smile, you can show your teeth, because you develop rapport with the students. The manner and pattern of these interactions with students can determine a teacher effectiveness, because students can link. Today, somebody brought me 2 mangoes. She doesn't know how much I appreciate it. I haven't eaten any yet, but she brought me 2 mangoes today. But the thing is that a lot of times when you get a kind of rapport going with the student, they want to please, they want to do this, especially if they're experiencing success. They want to just move and move and move. A teacher's style is determined by the personal experience that they have, their own learning style. So if they sat down like this or kept on writing the notes or doing whatever, they have I say nothing, I only receive, I only receive, I only receive as a student. Let them have some interaction, because no child you meet in high school is a blank slate. Okay? All right. Now, you can work with multi-level instructions. For instance, if you're in the math class, tell me something you do in the 7th grade with students. I think fractions is one of them. Fractions.
Yes.
Fractions. Right? You can get them to give you the definition of a fraction by the questioning that you use, by the materials and resources you bring to the classroom, even if you just have plain paper, because teachers complain so much that I do not even understand it. Some of the stuff, it doesn't have to be factory made. It can be something that you can collect. Somebody's trash can be your treasure. Go to the computer room, get all the paper they have in the trash can, if it's not confidential, you know, and you can use the sheet of paper as a unit and see how you get to the fractions. You can give 2 pages, you can superimpose quarters on 1 whole. They will see where the 4 came from, and they will see where the 1 comes from, right? If you superimpose 1/8 on 1 whole, they will see that those papers are actually smaller, because sometimes people think the larger the denominator, the bigger the fraction. Okay? So those are the kinds of things. So when we look at teaching, we have the traditional style. You can take down these lists and you can ponder them and become the one that is the facilitator style. The teacher can be autocratic. I own this classroom. I have my education already. They say I'm to teach you about fractions. So therefore, that's what I'm doing. If you see it fly past you, try to catch it. Because tomorrow my HOD said I must be on addition. Next day I must be on subtraction. That is what I'm going to do. Regardless of what I notice in the class, regardless of what informal assessment says, regardless of the questions the students ask, and by the questions, you know that the child doesn't have you know that the child has some misconceptions. So you can be autocratic or you can be democratic. Some people are afraid of democracy. It can be curriculum centered, because today I'm teaching addition. Just be informed that tomorrow I'm going to teach subtraction. The next day I'm going to teach multiplication. And the next day I'm going to teach division. That is curriculum centered, because the curriculum says these are the things I must cover. And let me tell you, and I'm going to say it over and over and over again. If you are the only one who finishes the curriculum, you are ineffective. Do we know that? Do we know that, class? If you are the only one who finishes the curriculum, regardless of what the kids get from it, then you are an ineffective teacher. Do we understand that?
Okay.
Do you know that if it's 100 questions on the exam, you don't have to finish every topic that is discussed there for the child to pass, because probably if 60 is a passing point or a 70 is a passing point, you can try to nail down some of the things in and be more secure in the child's learning than try to go all the way up to the end and the child gets very little of anything. Okay? All right.
What is the please excuse me, what's the second learning style? You say one is the traditional, autocratic, democratic.
The traditional style is 2 headings. Traditional style and the facilitating style. On the traditional style, the teacher is autocratic. The democratic style paired with that is democratic, sorry. Autocratic, and you have 2 headings. You get that? 2 headings.
Yes,
Traditional style, the teacher is autocratic. Facilitating style, you are democratic.
Oh.
Okay.
Curriculum centered is the traditional style, where I must finish these topics by date March the 11th. Yes?
Yes.
But you have the student-centered style, where you give the child a chance to air what it is they don't understand, correct the misconceptions. You might not reach there where, according to the curriculum on March 11th. You might not reach there. But the child has some understanding of what has been covered. Right? Formal. The teacher is talking, you shut your mouth, you take down the notes, and you do the problem. That is the formal. Informal, there are more exchanges. You dialogue with the student. You did this. How did you do it? I did it this way, miss. Or I did it this way, sir. And you get some kind of exchange going. Informative. I'm telling you what to do. I'm telling you how. I'm not even telling you why. I'm not telling you how it can be applied. I am just giving you this information. So I just give you the information, but you do not give the child a chance to ask any question. So the facilitating style is that you give the child or children opportunity to ask questions, and you can probe and get the child to think beyond the surface. Because we're going to talk about Bloom's taxonomy before it's all over.
Yeah.
Classroom atmosphere. On the traditional style, the first thing I call it is traditional style. The second thing I call will be facilitating.
Facilitating.
Yes. So in the classroom, it can be teacher-centered. What do you think is a facilitating one? Teacher-centered versus?
Student-centered.
Right.
Students. Okay.
All right. Now, in Jamaica and in the other islands where we have sun 365 days for the year, except it's raining, you can take your children outside and look at things in the environment that relates to the lesson. But in Jamaica, we have them melded together in rows. And they are, what you call that? What's it called? They are together though, they're not single.
When they join
it together, you join it in a row. So you can only do this. You can't make a circle, you can't make anything. People have to come out one way or going one way into the chair, because if you walk on this side, you're already melding together, so you can't come out come around. And so therefore, we have classroom with linear seating in a line. We have some times that you can move the chairs. Some teachers hope that you can't move the chairs because it's a pulling of the chairs and it's a, you know, noisy.
It's for a reason, because students will move them around. So, I mean, that appeals to me.
I can get it. I get it. Don't worry. You can.
It depends on how big your class.
Yes, and we have a lot of large classes.
Yeah. But if you have a huge class like 35, like one of my classes,
35?
You just cannot. 35.
You know what's the minimum in Jamaica?
How much? How many?
43, and sometimes it goes up to 60.
In a class?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Okay. The thing is, we can find other places. We can go outside, we can sit down somewhere, you know, given the weather and so on, and we can have groups. We can have group measurement, we can have group tasks, we can do some timing of how people move or jump or do whatever. It's still measurement. So we don't have to sit in class and be shackled to the book. But some teachers, they're not qualified to teach. And so they read the book and they tell you what the book says. And if it says that, it says that. And to shift any little way from the example cannot happen. Cannot happen. All right, instructional modes, abstract learning. What is abstract learning? Anybody?
Something that's not connected to nothing.
Something that is what?
Not connected to anything.
That's just familiar with.
Pardon me?
That the child is familiar with. That the child can
Right.
That relate to some of the stuff that they're talking about. And so therefore, as I told you, never write a lesson plan ever in your life again that doesn't have a real life application to line up with what it is you're going to teach. Find it. Find it. So you cannot write it in a hurry. You have to think about it, because you're a reflective teacher. You're a reflective teacher. Okay? All right. So we have abstract learning, we have concrete learning. How do we make abstract learning concrete? By providing
examples.
Examples. You relate it to experiences that they can share in meaningfully. You bring in something for them to touch and to move. If you want to do something like the little data collecting thing, you can work with them. You can line up children in height, you know, because remember, to find the median, you have to line up. That's
The one in the middle, yep. That's a good
you have
one.
an odd number of students. So the first thing you're going to do is to make a little thing with some wool cord, and you tie it and you call it median, and the person's lineup. That is not numbers, but it's demonstrating it in a concrete manner, where the students line up according to height. And once they line up according to height, you let them step off, step off, step off at each end until they reach the middle. And you have to give two definitions, two versions of the definition of median, where if it's an odd number, you're going to have one person left standing. And you put that little thing around the neck and call it median. Do you think the child is going to forget that? But you can talk about median all day long, and they have no clue of what is going on, right? But if you get this, me teacher, and you put them up there, okay? So you can do that with median. They're not going to forget. They're not going to forget, because when you say you are the median, they're not going to forget. You put a little thing around them. Or another thing you can do to encourage children, you can have a concept of the day, and you wear a concept hat, and if they write on there, like if you're talking about average, if they wear a little piece of cardboard around the head like this, or a little sign to say average, anybody in the school, because they wear it all day long, anybody in the school can ask them, what is average? What is the mean? You can do that. And you wear one too. You can wear one. Just put a piece of whatever or something around your neck. That's not going to hurt you. I told you that a child sprayed my hair green one day.
A child did what?
A child painted my hair green in school. Because I said to her, you can be an A student if you want. And I made the big mistake. She says, what would you do if I made an A on the next test? Because she was a capable student. And she said to me, so I said foolishly, idiotically, I said to her, you call it, what do you want to do? She said, spray your hair green. I was in. So that day, when the test came back and she made an A, she took out her paint. The next day, she didn't come prepared because she didn't know. She took out her paint the next day and said, you sit down because I'm painting your hair green. So I stand up in the school with green hair all day long. So she,
some students too, because when they ask,
and what, but you know, the principal said he heard about the bet. And he came up to me and said, you lost a bet really bad. I had to wear this green hair for the day. But I'm alive. I didn't lose any limb. I didn't lose any eyes or anything. And my hair was green.
And I think that motivated her to you.
Of course.
Mm-hmm.
You see, because I fell into it face forward. Because I shouldn't have said you call it. Because I could dream that she would say something like that. And one girl, she told me that she's going to improve in her math. She's going to improve in her math. And she said, but you know, when she heard about green hair, she said, what I wanted to wear is jeans with studs. You know, those stud green jeans thing. I had to go buy jeans because I don't even think like that at my age. But you know, I went and bought jeans.
it's really true. With children, you really have to, as you say, you have to find some strategic way of doing things. And it can't be boring. It can't be boring.
Yes, and then another teacher, what she did to motivate her student to do well in class, she had one of those things made of wool yarn, but it's like a pom-pom. It's like a pom-pom. It's not heavy. It's just the wool yarn. And they wear it for the day. So everybody knows that they're now special because they did something really fine in class. If you have that, then you take it at the end of the day, right? Or you could get something like a raffle or something and say, if you get 5 of these in a row for whatever, you can make it up. The children will do, and it doesn't cost very much. Because one big ball of yarn, and you just cut it at a certain length and tie it in the middle and it flower out like this. You're done. See, you can do a lot of stuff, especially in primary school. But you find something in high school that would appeal to them. But they're special for the day because they have all this.
Right.
And the culture in the school know that if you're wearing this thing, something positive happened in class.
I help teach students just, voluntarily with their GSAT preparation for GSAT.
You have to speak to the other people.
Right, with the preparation for GSAT, that's the grades achievement test. And when their grades came out, and one of them, he really just doesn't. He doesn't like studying, but he's like top student, and so he just does not like studying. However, he'll keep up with his homework, and he'll keep up with, and I tell him, listen, keep up with keep up in class. Read your notes, and don't go just storing. And I realized that one of them, he just loved math. He was just so.
But that one you didn't have to motivate.
That one I did not have to motivate, and he would when I give him some math. The other two, they'd hurry up and finish it and give it to me, and he would come back for more math. And when I said to them, listen, I want nothing less than 90 for your math grades, in GSAT when it comes out. And you see that one who was top of the class and everything, and he's rather some things that he'll ask you, you don't even know the answer for. When his grades got out, and he actually got a 90 for math, and I'm like, okay, 90, but you couldn't have got better? He was like, well, you said 90, I'm over, so I went for 90.
But he doesn't know what he's going to give 90, so, yes.
Say that to me.
Yes.
And so you have to, these children, they're not idiots.
And you know what?
Very smart.
And the real thing about children is this. They did not get up on the morning of February the 23rd and say, today I'm going to fail. They didn't say that. They want to have success.
Yes, they want
yes.
to.
So we are now looking at characteristics of a competent classroom teacher. Characteristics of a competent classroom teacher. And to thine own self be true. I'm not going to list all the characteristics, but I'm going to list the ones that I think are very essential. If you have those, you're in. The teacher is knowledgeable about their subject matter. The teacher is knowledgeable. So teacher knowledge is very important, or else we have no use in the classroom. You should have a historical understanding. You should know what is current, what is going on, how they're portraying this, what are some of the strategies, right? You should,
I don't get that. That's the second one?
No, I'm just explaining.
Explaining knowledgeable.
Yes, yes.
Oh.
You should know principles, you should know concepts, you should know strategies so that the student can get the skills, all of that in your knowledge base. You must be able to maximize on teachable moments to show its connection. So the kids do not think that math is like grains. Each little thing separate from the other, right? You want your children to see something on a continuum as it develops. Yes? So therefore, if we do not want that, we have to be able to take teachable moments, maximize upon them, and show that there's a connection. You must be what I call a broker, an educational broker. That one is you will learn where and how to get the current materials, new materials. You have to question yourself. All the things that I'm going to say to my students today, can I elaborate on it? Do I have any practical experience? Because you learn as you go. You learn and they learn. Okay? So the thing is, you cannot know everything, but thank God for computer.
The internet.
Find things. We can find things, right? You should be knowledgeable about where and how to best research it. And do not write lesson plans without you have some factual background and some application in the child's sphere, not something grown up. Like no child is going to buy a house and pay mortgage and that kind of stuff. So if I want to talk about consumer math, you can bet I'm not going to talk about buying houses because I'm talking to children. Probably sweets, probably telephones, probably earpieces for that, you know. What the boys like, I don't even know. What boys like?
Football.
Football gadgetry. Maybe they like to wear the shirt that says their, you know, whatever number they like. In the professional people, they might want to buy a t-shirt looking like that. Like the reggae boys, some people. My son lived in America and he wanted a reggae shirt. So, you know, his godmother got him a reggae shirt for prices that I wouldn't pay. Because it was one of the authentic ones with the, yeah. So the thing is that you get something that they live and experience to motivate them. So you have to be a little bit computer literate. You have to have the tools for research. Tools for research. When you go to do research, you read what's the first thing you read when you're going to research a topic? You look up the topic and then you do what? What do you read? When you get an article that somebody has studied something that you're interested in, what's the first thing you read?
What?
The abstract. The abstract. Because the abstract is is a snapshot of the whole paper. It tells you who they're dealing with, it tells you what they did, it tells you what is the outcome, and so on. So you know now, I'm interested in this, I want this. And there's a platform that you can go to and talk to teachers. There's a teacher chat room, and anybody will talk to you about anything. All right? The teacher must be an active member of a professional organization where I think JTA they do workshops and they do this and they bring you up to date on certain things. People believe that if they graduate from Michael in the year 1990, and 40 years is going to get me where? If they graduate from Michael in 1990, 40 years from 1990 gives me what? Where am I now? 2030, right? They don't want to see another book. They don't want to see another anything. They don't want to write lesson plans because they already been to teachers' college and la-di-la-di-la. It doesn't happen like that. You must get some professional development. There is the Jamaica Teaching Council that also offers professional development opportunities. You can take a thing and say, I am not so proficient with the use of the computer or I can't maximize it. Let me go somewhere and get this. And if I hear that they are offering a workshop, I will request that I could go. You cannot sit statically. The classroom is a dynamic space. Things are moving. People are learning. People are getting understanding. People are giving out knowledge and receiving knowledge in a group. It's not a static place. And if you go in there as a static person, you create that atmosphere. And you leave worse than you came. Both teacher and student. Okay? Now, you have what you call informal assessment by questioning. We'll talk about that later. But when somebody answers a question, sometimes you can get the implicit information from them, whether they know what they're saying or not, or their understanding. Right? Mm-hmm. You model behaviors that you want in the classroom. You model behaviors that you want in the classroom. Jamaicans speak English. Do you have patois in your country, Bermuda?
No.
Okay.
In Dominica we have patois.
Well, not
We
in the
speak French,
classroom. Not in the classroom.
French patois.
Not in the classroom.
Not in the classroom, no.
Speak the language of business in the classroom. You're educating this person. And education is one of the more reliable ways of escaping to a higher standard of living. So speak English. Speak English. You cannot train me in long jump and send me to go run long distance. We speak Patton, we speak Patton, we speak Patton, at the day of CXC, all English. All English. All English. They get patois for free. They don't need any practice. They don't need anything. They can speak patois. We don't have to practice it. Practice in the mode, the language in which they are going to be tested. Do not come to the classroom looking like you're ready to go to dance hall. Do not come in the class. I know of a teacher in this school, a lecturer in this school, who sent a girl outside of her class and said, you cannot stay in the classroom looking like this. Sent her out, and I know the teacher by name. So the thing is, you have to model behaviors. You know that if you're going on an interview, right? You're going on business. You do not dress like anybody could be offended. So what you do, we're in a tropical climate. We can dress accordingly, but we can just be just as appropriate, just as smart, just as whatever, and look good. I saw I saw a student today, and the other students were talking about it, and I kept my mouth shut. She had on, you know, the shorter hemline in the front and the longer hemline at the back. And she looked like she was going to dance. All she needed now was, I guess, a nice handbag or something, but and red hair. That's all she needed. Because the children look at you, you're setting an example, you're in you're conducting business when you're teaching class. That doesn't mean you can't laugh, that you can't have a joke, you can't do whatever, right? And sometimes you slightly veer from the subject and the kids want to talk about it. But this teacher told the student, you need to leave my classroom right now at this university. Because she doesn't play. She was, yes. And but that wasn't the one. That wasn't the one. She was teaching something else. Well, she should change her clothes when she was ready for the other place. But anyway, the thing is that there's no maybe. Let us not add anything to the situation. She was inappropriately dressed for a classroom situation. And I don't want to hear about, yes, so come in the way you should. End of story, not maybe anything. Because there are some people, you can know when they're dressed for church, different when they're dressed for work, different from when they're going to Devon House to eat ice cream and that kind of a thing. But we are to model for the student. Model the behaviors that you would like to see. Thank God for the uniforms. The day when you dress down, kids don't learn anything. Because they want to wear the best jeans, they want to wear the best this and the best that, and they're focused. You know, they make up their minds to look a certain way when they're out of uniform.
Young men, like the same-sex schools, well, quite a few young men who told me like they had female teachers in the same-sex school, and one of them told me he was in class and he just couldn't learn. They both, like, apparently, both of them, not rational work, and from what they were saying, they never saw like she dressed down. Yeah, but they were finding means of identifying parts of her body. That, you know, they were talking about cleavage and all that.
Question, yes.
Question. You're on the uniform. But thinking of other societies that, you know, they don't wear a uniform.
They don't wear uniforms. Yes, there are some societies like that.
So are you saying, what are you saying then? That, I mean, we need to have, that rigid structure, that autocratic structure for our children to learn?
Well, no, but it takes out one of the variables. If everybody comes in with uniform, or more than one variable, maybe the rich kids would dress a certain way and the other people would feel less than, or the thing is, every morning you have to be struggling what to wear, but when you know the uniform is the uniform is the uniform, then that takes that consideration out of the equation.
You don't have to dress in uniform. There's some kind of, what do you call it? As the, how to dress. You can't wear, like, what not to wear and what to wear. So, like a dress code, right?
Well, you know that our ministry has put up a dress code on the site. They have put up a dress code because it has got so outrageously bad. Outrageously bad. You see what I'm saying? Outrageously dressed, inappropriately dressed. It's just not right for I don't say you must wear uniform, but if without uniform doesn't translate to half naked. You see what I'm saying? It's not one or the other. Okay, so it's not autocratic. It's something that keeps you more focused than if you didn't have it. Right?
What happens with us and the uniform on a Jeans Day is that we're used to wearing uniforms. A Jeans Day is a celebration. It is a day when students feel more relaxed because it's different from what they normally have. I think if they were wearing jeans every day.
But they come competitively dressed though because they want to get the little signal that
But they can't do that because it's just one day. I think if they were wearing jeans every day, after a while you really cannot look dressed to the next.
Well, you're adding something that was not in the equation. You're adding something that's not in the equation. The thing is that uniform, when I say thank God for uniforms, it takes out the guesswork, it takes out the distraction, it takes out a number of things out of the equation.
That's true. There's no competition in uniform.
Exactly.
Everybody look the same.
In uniform, you do have like somewhere their hem, the hem. They make that too short, or they make the uniform that too high.
Yes, but some people are looking. But so in the main, they're okay. Yes, you can. I know, but what I'm saying that they have a dress code, and most people comply with the dress code.
Like with their parents.
And yes, and some parents have inspection. In the States, the kids do not wear uniform, and but you cannot wear the T-straps. You cannot wear the shorts up to here. When you stand up, your hand must be
right
above your hand.
That's right. That's true.
Above your hand. So do like this, right? One boy came to school one day in a tank top. That principal sent him upstairs to get a PE shirt. You're covered up. The boys come without belt. He has a big roll of twine on the desk, and you wear that for the day. And if you would like to wear it tomorrow, he will accommodate. He will accommodate. So the thing is that people can take things to the extreme. And so therefore, if you don't have a sense of right or wrong, people will come in there in bathing suits. Two-piece, like Miss Hannah that somebody was calling about. But anyway, the thing is, but she was at the beach, she was appropriate, right? Yes, but I'm telling you, if you leave students or people to do what they want to do, they reach extreme in like that. Okay, the next thing, teachers are people who do not like to change. I've done it this way for 10 years. Why do you want me to change now? So teachers You need to change. You need to accept the change. You need to get retooled to be effective in the change mode.
You know, I have a question right there.
Good.
Because, for example, if I have a lesson plan, right, and this lesson plan was successful, I have good passes with that lesson plan now, right? And next term come around, you think I should throw away that lesson plan? Don't you think I should use that same lesson plan because it was successful then?
Yes, you can use it, but suppose you have some students this year that you didn't have last year. And as you're using this, that's where your flexibility comes in. You see, you're using it and you're not as successful. Or if you're successful, you say, okay. But I would kind of update to current things. Like back in my day, we didn't have cell phone, right? We had a big old phone. And when cell phone came in, first you had to get a bag to carry it, right? You had to have a big bag to carry it. So the thing is, you change. You wouldn't be talking about purchases. You wouldn't be purchasing a house for some ridiculous amount of money that could even buy a step or a window or something. So you change with the times as you go, right? So it makes it for your business to know these things because changes are appropriate at certain times. You must be held, you must hold yourself accountable. You must hold yourself accountable. Okay? You must not be prejudicial towards the student, and I won't say anything more about that because we talked about that already. You must not be prejudicial towards your student. Do we hear that?
Yeah.
I'm not going to say anything more about that. Sometimes, like after lunch and so on, if you have a class and the chairs are not welded together, you should go up to the classroom and get it straightened out. And you see some kids and you say, I think they sweep the floors or they do something and clear it up and put it in the trash can and so on. But some places don't have anywhere to eat, like a cafeteria or something. So you find out that sometimes you have to go prepare your class ahead of time, right? Do not be nonchalant about arrival to class. If I'm 10 minutes late, that's okay. If I'm 15 minutes late, who cares? If I'm 20 minutes late, that's okay too, right? And then when you go there 20 minutes late, the kids take 10 minutes to settle down and your class is 40 minutes. So how many minutes for class now? And you tell the children that they are rude. You are the rude one. You are rude and disrespectful. You are rude and disrespectful to just be nonchalant. I don't think sometimes it won't happen, but it must be a bona fide, unavoidable situation. But just to sit down and talk 10 minutes longer or whatever you do at lunchtime, do not do that. You are the disrespectful one.
Right.
And we need to respect our students. We need to respect our time. Somebody's paying us to arrive there at the time. And I find the schedule here very bad because they do not give you any change time between classes. So you might be 5 minutes late, but you must be on your way. You can't stop and talk and say, girl, your hairstyle looks so wonderful. Where did your shoes? You know, no. Go to your class. Show some respect for, I don't know what the men talk about. That's why I'm talking about our women talk. But anyway, you know, that kind of thing. So the thing is, go. You are being disrespectful. It's not the children. Okay. Now, you're a decision maker. You decide what is to be covered. You decide what elements of the topic you are going to be teaching. And I've heard a teacher say, if you come to private lessons, I'll tell you more about this. That is nothing short of criminal activity. Nothing short of it.
Oh my. Wow.
I'm in the classroom and you're telling the kids, come to private lessons and I will tell you more. You know, I bet you $10 to a dime. If you weren't getting paid for private lessons, you would walk straight on home and leave those kids right there, going home too. That is criminal activity. Do not keep children from information. Be accountable. Be fair. You can say, I'm a teacher, I don't steal, but that is open, bold-faced stealing. Suppose a child cannot afford to pay. They don't hear. Do we understand that? The teacher must be in a perpetual learning mode. The teacher must be in a perpetual learning mode. You can give a child a compliment for something that you didn't think of because you were set on doing it this way and they did it the other way. I was teaching something the other day and one of my students went up to the board and gave a pictorial representation of what we were doing. I was grateful. I was grateful because that, you know, they say pictures have 1,000 words, you know. You can see that that would be something where the person could just hang their hat and see clearly what we were talking about. It made it semi-abstract. Abstract is when you're just talking. Semi-abstract is when you have a picture. Concrete is when you have something to touch and fold and manipulate. Okay?
Miss, I had a student once, you see. I've never seen no more like him. You know, sometimes you want your student to show they're working.
Yes.
This student would not show his working. He said, it's in my head. And when I stand over him and I say, okay, do this math, he just put down the answer. He said, I don't know what to put on the paper. It's just in my head. And he wouldn't put nothing down on the paper more than the answer. He said, I said, write down the steps or you arrive at the answer. And he said, I can't write it. I don't know how to write it. So how you deal with...
He wouldn't do well on CXC. He wouldn't do well on CXC. But the thing about it is that I have done things like that. And what I do, right, I get you to do one step, the next person to do the other step, especially if it's a group work. You do the next step, you do the next step. And sometimes I want an assessment and I do not want the answer. I only want to know how you journey to the place. You see, how you journey to the place. And if you have, I don't want answers. I just don't want answers. So that kid wouldn't do well on CXC because they give you points per step. So the thing is that if it's a multiple choice or something, it will be different. But if they wanted to show the process, then you have, and when you go to more sophisticated math, you have to be clear about the definition. You have to be clear about the steps you're taking. You have to know what you bring to the table. So the thing is, in that work, right? In that mode where he is, you could say, I only want the first 3 steps. I don't want the answer. I do not want, if you give me the answer, no points. But you're going to get points for this or for that. Or working in a group thing, you can go around and the person, what do I add to this to move forward? What do I add to that to move forward, right? And so therefore, you get that goal.
And another thing you can do is to type of questions. Give the answer, show that this is equal to that. So you already give the answer. So the answer is not important. It's the show that is important. So when you have questions like that, it really forces the student to actually go step by step.
That's correct. That's one. And 2, some of the things like, you know it's an identity already. Like when we're dealing with operations with set like union and intersection. So I can say A intersected with B, that result intersected with C, right? They have to work it out. They must work it out. The thing is that some people, if it's purely calculation, they can do it like this because they have a good number sense. And that is not to be stifled. But the thing is, he's not always in that mode where he can just give the answers only. All right? You demonstrate optimism for the learner. You encourage. You said, you did that very well. And do not change your voice when you're talking. Somebody, you can say, Nigel, it's so good that you have come to class early for these 5 days for the week. Do not give empty compliments. And if he's late and late and late, and one day came and said, oh, it's so good that you came early. You see, you change your voice. It is sarcasm. And it's telling the people that you're always late. Do we see that?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You see? Because if you change your voice on this high tone, high pitched voice and say, oh, welcome. Welcome. I see you're early or something. But anytime you're paying a child a compliment, you need to have something that you can name. What is it you're paying? You're doing well. No. I see that you have turned in your homework. And sometimes you can have homework charts. That don't cost anything, right? You go put up a sticker beside your name on the today's book, like a chart, and you can get homework. And then if you do your homework 5 days in a row, you get a quarter point. And by the end of it, you can add those points to this test or something. And you could know that some of this could accumulate, and you just at the tipping point to go over to the next grade. And you point that out to them. Probably, you will get some homework done. And don't give boring homework. You can give homework that is not the next 5 questions on the page because you're lazy. Do we understand that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So you're going to be optimistic, you're going to be positive, you're going to be encouraging. That's how children learn. When I was small, this is a song that you don't know. But there was a little song about I'm a little teapot short and stuff, and I always dance with my father. I thought that was the best dancer in the world, and I'm sure I would rate 0 on some people dancing list. But I just had a good feeling about dancing in the house. Seriously. And so you're optimistic about the student. You also, when you're encouraging, you're inspiring confidence. You're saying, I am confident that you can do this. Tell me, ask me a question. Ask me a question, to say what you don't understand. You just don't give up on the person who can't say it right. If you even have to have somebody who doesn't speak, you can have a little one-on-one contract with the person and say, I am going to look at your work first before the class begins. And when I look at your homework, I'm going to see that you did it correctly. So you can answer in class. So he opens his mouth and he speaks, right? Or she does that. You have to have confidence or inspire confidence in your children. Now, the teacher should exhibit a range of interest. A range of interest. You're interested in the activities of the student. She's not only my math teacher, but she asked me how I'm doing in track, because she knows I'm in track, right? Or she asked me how I'm doing in whatever extracurricular activity I'm in. Or if I go dancing, if I go dancing, my parents pay for dancing lessons or music lessons. Children call me and give me and sing me happy birthday over the phone. Because I'm always inquiring about, what you're doing, so and so and so. And now she's going to Edna Manley School of the Fine Arts. And we need people like that. We need people to replace the people that are doing it now, because we soon pass on. Okay? So you can help with choice of activities. They make some attempts in Jamaica here for everybody to be in, what you call that? Some activity in school. Clubs or something. Extracurricular activity.
Oh, okay.
So everybody has to be in something. Everybody has to be in something, right? The other thing is, you, again, I'm going to say it because I have it written, but you must relate your subject to their lives. And I'm not going to say anything more. You're going to hear it and hear it. Must relate the subject to something in their lives. The teacher must be reliable. You know, I went to a school and the teacher wasn't there. I told you that last time. And the student said to me, every day she gonna town, miss. Every day she gonna town, miss. You see? The students know your activity. They know your movements. And the teacher came in very late and she said, you know, I was held up because I went to town. Student knew exactly what was happening. Now, teacher behaviors that facilitate learning. That's your new heading.
Teacher must be
necessary. Teacher behaviors that are necessary to facilitate learning. What is our course that we are doing? How children learn mathematics. We talk about teacher knowledge, right? And how children learn. We're talking about teacher knowledge of and the quality of your teaching skills. So we talk about the knowledge that you must have, and we talk about the attitudes you must take, and that is also on the teacher quality. On the teacher quality, you are a member of organization, you keep abreast with the time, you know historically what is happening. Sometimes girls don't just self-select not to do well in mathematics. You can talk about famous female mathematicians. If you know somebody in Jamaica, all the better. All the better. So you inspire them. You say, it's not reserved for boys alone. It's not reserved for boys. And some of them select not to be good. They just say, you know, that's not for me. That's not for me. And you don't want them to do that. You select your strategy. You look at them, listening, sitting and listening to, just talking, and without any participation, it becomes difficult. So here we come to the manipulative. The hands-on, get your minds on. Sometimes the hands-on lead to getting your minds on, whatever you are doing. You can talk about it, you can share your learning, you can give examples, you can make up your own questions. Children can do that, you know. Children can do that from any grade. Make up your own questions. Even when they're not good writers in the first grade, they can tell you a story about something, right? Because sometimes their family members will give them some money or give them some gift. And getting things, more and more things, you're adding. Yes? If you lost some things, then it's like a negative sign because you take it away from what you had before. So the seeds can be planted early. And the thing is that when you reach high schools, some teachers complain the primary schools didn't do a good job. They say that all the time. Personally, I don't want to hear it. This is now your sphere. This is now your responsibility. And so you have to find high interest, low vocabulary for them to get it. And when they are 12 and 13 and 14, if they get just a little inroad on some of that, their learning rate is much higher than if you're in second grade and you're talking about that. If you're in fifth grade and you're a second grade functioning, you have to bring them up. If they're in 7th grade and you said the primary school teachers are all dummies, they didn't do a thing with this child, they send him up to me here not knowing anything, it's your job. It's your job. Okay?
You know, I heard a child, well, a student, maybe 11, thereabout, maybe like, yes, I heard a student once saying, you know, he had to correct the teacher in grade 6, a teacher that had to replace.
I know.
And he had to correct the teacher, and when he had to correct her, it was dramatic. He had to correct his teacher. And then he mentioned to me after that, like a few months after that, you know, that teacher is no vice principal, and I don't know how is it that she could be vice principal.
Well, getting to be vice principal.
I was there saying to myself, see, if the student is questioning this now.
Okay, well, to be vice principal is a whole lot of politics and all of that. So,
yeah, but longevity, as you said, with children, they even though they might not know how to write the story, but they can get the story. They'll get
okay.
grasp it very well.
You facilitate the behaviors, and you give a clarification. So the questioning is one of the uses. You can use it, you can wait. If you ask a question, you don't have to answer it. I see some teachers do that, especially when I'm there. They don't want any dead time. But that is not what I call dead time. I call it wait time. Because if you ask me a question, probably I have to process the information. But I take the first person who answers, or I answer it myself. You ever find yourself answering your own question? No? Most teachers do. They answer their own question.
You mean like, oh, you mean in teaching? Like
in teaching,
yes.
Yeah.
You don't have person in the class and nobody answers, so you say, you give the answer?
Or you don't give them any time to process what it is. You just want to move on.
Right? I guess everybody got children, so normally when I'm teaching something, for example, I teach research methods. If it's a case where I'm teaching them how to do a proposal, I let them come up with a question, and then I guide them along. I will answer anything. Because I figure if I'm going to answer it, then I'm doing all the work, and then I'm going to learn it. And you find that they tend to grasp the concept even better when it is a research proposal they're doing. Yeah, I tell them, okay, come up with a question right here. They pick up a question, they do the rationale, they go along, and they just do everything step by step. Yeah, so they literally do everything themselves.
But they have to write it. But sometimes I find that when I'm advising on research papers, since you brought that up, I could, say something about it. They will ask some questions that you must intervene because it is this way. You can't say measurement. You see what I'm saying? Because measurement is very broad. You can't say you are going to find out somebody's appreciation for something. And you can't make up those questions. You have to be trained. So the thing is, you get them to see that they have to narrow it down. Yeah. If you have 6 weeks to do a research paper, you cannot answer 15 questions. Some people want to put 4 and 5. So they have to be guided and, reshaped and directed in a certain manner. I don't mean you're going to answer it for themselves, but sometimes you ask another question. You ask another question when you don't answer it directly. But I noticed that when you ask for the justification, the whole world is going to benefit from a 6-week findings. Yeah. That has all kinds of irregularities in it. You see what I'm saying? So you have to train people to know that be conservative, ask one question to answer, and know that you have the material, you have the context in which you can gather the data. And some of them don't know. One student, I should say, one pre-service teacher, I should say, not girl, one pre-service teacher her research is about the effects of overcrowded classroom. And I went to look at her on her practice teaching, 11 students in our class. Where she's going to get the information? Where she's going to get the information? So when students are doing research papers, they have to be guided. They have to be questioned into thinking.
Yeah, that's what I tried.
So she said to me, if she failed, I said, well,
You have an overcrowded classroom, first of all.
you don't have an overcrowded classroom. Where are you going to get this information? Where are you going to get the data? You know, so you have to put yourself in a position that the context in which you are will allow you to do whatever. Overcrowded classroom. She's in a private school. And so she is going to do that. And she left out so many things in the research. But the thing is that if you're teaching research, you have to let them know that that has to be done. I can work with overcrowded classroom in terms of the literature research, but what I in turn have to do to see if I'm going along with the major findings of it, you know, and I've never seen a student at UE that didn't get positive results for their research. And I've looked at many. So this person told me, who was an instructor at a different school, told me that he doesn't want anything besides what he hypothesizes in his research. So he makes the data. You know, they don't know anything about random sampling. They don't know anything about how to quantify or qualify some of the things that they learn. And so therefore, they don't do well. But anyway, the thing is, the questioning, we are going to go to what we call Bloom's taxonomy. Anybody heard that?
Yeah.
I've heard of Bloom's taxonomy. How many levels we have for questioning?
I think it was 6.
Six. Yes,
Six layers.
6 of them, right? The thing is, next time I'm going to bring some of the trigger words. You know, you ask if you want a certain level of thinking. I'm going to bring that for you. So you know, the first one is a knowledge level. That is the lowest of them all. The lowest of them all is the knowledge level. Bloom's taxonomy. All right. So we are going to question thoughtfully. What do I want to bring up? Do I want to move this child from this level of thinking to that level of thinking? Because our aim in the educational setting is to get critical thinkers who can look at a situation that they have learned, make an application to another situation that is not in everyday life. When I said not in everyday encounter where you learn to have this response. But the thing is that if you have a new situation, you can see a link between what you know and what will get you to find out what you don't know yet. So you encourage questioning without judging. As I say before, if somebody answers you and it's incomplete, you can appeal to the class. Anybody would like to add to that? You didn't say the child was wrong, you didn't say the child was right. Yes? And you keep the interest of the child that way, and you get other people involved. And then you summarize now. You summarize, right? Like if we're looking at union and intersection, right? Or we're looking at union and if we have a set and we are looking at the complement of the set, we need the vocabulary, right? Because some students will say, Miss, I know what to do, you know, but I just can't say it. You ever heard any student say that?
Mm-hmm.
I know you know, Miss, I know you know, Miss. So what you're going to do, you're going to say, all right, you need some things to get you started. We have a set, right? And we call it set A, and we might even say it's a set containing 1, 2, 3. Make it short because you want success. Yes? Your universal set wouldn't be 1 to 100. Do we understand that? Because you have to have a universal set to know what is the complement of any subset of that universal set. So if I have 1, 2, 3 as A, and I'm just introducing the topic, what is a good universal set to make? 1 to 5 maybe, or 1 to 10, you know, because we are in base 10, we do the decimal system. So the thing is, you can ask a question. Now, if I say to you, nobody has seen these things walking down the street, a compliment. Nobody has seen it walking down the street. So you in the classroom now are in charge of getting this kid to know what is a compliment. Yes? So I would make my universal set click and tick, right? And I would say to him or to her, write your universal set. And I would say, write the set itself that we're talking about. That is a subset. What next do you think I would tell the student to do? If I have the universal set and I have the set, what would you tell the student to do afterward to find out what is the complement?
You mean you want the student to make the connection?
Complement of A. A is a set containing 1, 2, 3. The universal set is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What is the best way to help the kid to generate the complement? But that is talking, hands-on. What would you do?
Oh, those that are
I
not
would
in.
use the 2 sets. I'd say write set, write the universe, write the set. What would I tell him to do next? A diagram? Or I would cross out the things in you, in the universe, cross out everything that has a match, that is in A that has a match in you, I would cross them out. And what I'm left with be the leftovers. Right? What is left is a leftover, so that would be the A complement. You could do it with blocks. You can teach that to anybody, even 2nd grade. You don't tell them about complement and that kind of stuff because probably, but you can know what.
Right, the vocab changes as they go along.
Changes, but you can plant the idea. You can plant the idea. Okay? And another thing with teachers, sometimes they say, oh, that is a grade 7 thing, and now we are in grade 8. Does it matter if the child doesn't understand? To make that statement, I don't want to hear it. I definitely do not want to hear it. And I do not want you to send the kid out of the class because I didn't know it, because they are now 8th grade and they're supposed to know it in the 7th grade. Right? What I want you to do then is to step back and get the child up to snuff with the skill that he needs.
Right. Nothing is wrong.
Go ahead.
I have a question because I have something like that in one of my students. She doesn't have a good penmanship. And I was suggesting that they use the double line and let you practice again how to write in these little tiny lines.
What grade do you teach?
It was grade M2, we call it grade 7.
Okay.
And they're saying, no, the child would go, she's regressing, she's going back, but she can't write properly. She don't write like grade 1, some big things out of line, like somebody more like you can't see, like grade 1 writing.
Well, I don't know about that. Is she writing correctly, whatever she writes?
It writes correctly, but it's not in the line and it's too big for her age, you know, like some in the line, some out of the line. There are some, they are near up together, they are not, instead of having the space between the words, it just don't look right. That's not for grade 7, it's more like for grade 1 who just coming up there.
Well, probably that's where she has reached in her writing, but if she's writing accurately, then probably you can put some limits on it. Give her 2 lines only. Cut down the strip. Cut down the strip. You know what I mean by cut down the strip?
No.
You don't write sentences on strips of paper. So she should have anywhere to go or she's off the paper. She could be off the paper, she's not going to like that. Okay? So what you do, give her strips. Like if she's to write, you teach math, right?
Right.
So if it's a problem that she has to copy, and I don't know why she has to copy it, but anyway, I don't see why. But if she has to copy it, you come in prepared with strips of paper. You know, there was this student in my class, and I don't know where I got this from. I cannot tell you today. Nobody told me. But she was afraid of taking tests. And she knows the work. She answers well in class. Come test time, it's like somebody wipe her mind clean of the information. And I was looking through a book, and I saw somebody who wrote in the book, merit review. You know, is to see, you know, if you have check for understanding on something that was presented. And I don't know where I got it from, but I went and I said to her one day out of class, I said to her, you know what? This is that you're, you know, a little bit nervous when the test comes. But as long as you know me for the rest of this year, I am not going to give you a test at all. I gave her the same test, edit, merit review. She forgot about our nervousness. I call it merit review. Test was something that just drove our mind blank.
Yeah.
And I said,
this was an English student, because it's really much English I teach for learning support.
Okay, give her strips, or if it's he or she, give them strips. When they say they're writing on the desk, then they don't know that it's too big. But anyway, another student, everybody gets a textbook, and you're talking about page 65, and she's always doing this and going to the back of the book. I didn't say a word to her. I copy the page I'm going to deal with. So if she turns it this way is my page, and if you turn it that way is my page, because she has nothing else in her hand. So sometimes you have to think of little things. Sometimes you can make a little deal outside that, you know, if I'm teaching and I see you off task or anything, we make a signal that I don't have to talk to you in a rough voice, but you know, I will say, and I'm moving closer to you, and as you see me moving closer to you, you know, and I said, you know, number one, number two, you know, that kind of stuff, related not to her, you know, related to what is the first fact or the first summary point we're making or whatever, but you know that outside of the hearing of anybody, I would say, whenever you see me come up to you like this and I'm talking still and I'm carrying on, and that is called withitness. Teachers must have withitness. Withitness means, you can guess what it means. Can't you guess what it means? Withitness means you are teaching your class, but you're aware of what is going on all around. So when you see the student and you see that is happening, but behave yourself. I spoke to you yesterday. No, we made an agreement. That is going to be a gentle reminder that when I come close to you and I say, what did we say first class? What was the first answer or something? And this is my thing, you know, on your desk. It doesn't look like anything, but you know, Craig knows what we're talking about because I'm closer to him than normal. Do we see that? So you can make deals with your student outside of class. Sometimes you have a class leader for negative behavior. You have to talk to him outside of the class because he likes the attention, even negative attention, right? So you have to talk to that person and make a little deal outside of the classroom. And you can say to him, one time this person gave me so many problems. She had her magazine inside her textbook and she's reading it and it's this high. So I know something was wrong, right? So I say to her, you know, you win this game because I didn't know you were reading the magazine the whole time. So I know you won. So I called her and I said, look, you need to know that I have a responsibility to you. I need you and you need me. So let us not try to play the tricks, but outside, I just took the magazine and continued what I was doing. I didn't even bother to comment on it. But outside, I said, you won. Because you were reading a magazine and I didn't even know it. So I just took the magazine and didn't say a word. about the magazine. I continued in my dialogue or whatever I was saying. So the thing is, now that you have won over me. So let us move on with what we have to do. So I do that sometimes because what happened, sometimes you have to admit that she had one over me. That was true. She had one over me. So to get back to, you can use period of silence, give them time to answer the question. In school, they have something where you want to give them time to answer. You count like this behind your back. You do like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. So you're giving them time. Now you have Mr. or Miss Smarty Pants who know all the answers to all the questions. I make deals with him outside as well. I said, look, I know you're bright. The kids know you're bright. I will give you time to talk, but I will call you because I know you know everything, right? So what I do, I get questions from here and answers from here and answers from there, and I tell him to summarize. Do I get him to talk? Do I give him a chance to talk? If I get him to summarize what was said. Yeah, but he's talking my language now. He's not talking the other language. Do we see that? Because what happens when I'm questioning the other student, he's railing out of his seat. You see what I'm saying? Me, miss, me, miss. They don't call him Miss Muhammad. They call it that, yeah. Regular name. But anyway, Miss so-and-so or Mrs. so-and-so or Dr. so-and-so, they will call it. But they will rail out of the seats to answer the person who knows everything. And the teacher has a tendency, once you get the answer to the question that you asked, which is generally a fill in the blanks, we're getting away from that using Bloom's taxonomy. So let us list the 6 steps from Bloom's taxonomy. I don't know where my Bloom's taxonomy is in this book. But who knows the steps? Who knows the steps in Bloom's taxonomy?
I don't remember them.
Knowledge is the base one, right? Knowledge, then comprehension.
Right.
Yes. Then after comprehension, what we have? Huh? You're reading. Yes. All right, speak up. Are we reading? Can you hear everybody?
Yes, we're there. And the last one is synthesis. I don't know.
I don't remember those
Number
things.
4 is analysis.
What's that one, please?
Analysis. Next week, I'm going to carry trigger words for you to go to the different levels.
Knowledge, comprehension, analysis.
Application before analysis.
Oh, application.
Analysis, and synthesis. Finally, evaluation.
Okay, so next week we will pick up on this and we will talk about the trigger words. If you want to ask a question at the synthesis level, if you want to ask a question at the application level. The lowest type of question that most teachers employ is the area of a circle is, the children fill in the blanks in chorus, right? The perimeter of a rectangle is,
No, I was just remembering something I learned in high school. We used to recite the first 5 books of the Old Testament.
Yes. So the thing is that is knowledge. Knowledge question has a characteristic of is a one-word answer, yes or no, right? Okay? Yes.
There's sorry, excuse me, there's a revised Bloom taxonomy now?
Bring it next week and share it with us.
Okay.
Because Bloom's taxonomy has to do with the level of questioning, but you know, people are always improving or changing or have other ideas. So bring that, and I'll tell you what I have. But there are trigger questions. What if,
all right.
But what if is a higher order? What is like a knowledge question? What if we had thus and such? How would it change? This, that, and the other. Yes. So questioning where we can probe. Yes? All right. So I see you next time.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay.
Good afternoon.
Good night. Well, night here. It's cold.